friends and subscribers. For China News, and I call it really China News porn, because it really is kind of like a scandal sheet of what's happening in China in popular culture. So this China News pornography that I've been watching from time to time, I'm going to give you the sites that have kind of like the uh, National Enquirer type Chinese news. And it's very popular with a lot of expats that have to have an outlet for what they're experiencing in China. So they go to sites like China Smack. And right here on China Smack, you see stories like Chinese sleeping in showroom furniture in Beijing IKEA. This is very common. You see a lot of loitering here, as there really aren't any loitering laws that are enforced because there are just too many people. And you get a lot of outrageous news stories, and most of them are true. And it's gossipy, and it's a place where people kind of go to check out what's happening in China, the absurd, the almost unbelievable, and they can post. And China Smack being probably the most popular of these sites, and you can see all the publicity they've had, and they've linked up sites for other countries as well. There's a Japan one, there's a Vietnam one, and there's a Korea one. And you can get the same kind of wacky stories on those sites as you can in China Smack. Going so far as Forbes actually posting the top 10 China Smack headlines of each year, since it's a very popular site and the millions of hits, and people follow this, expats do, when they want to learn more news about China, because obviously the language barrier is a factor when they're trying to find out the real story about what happened. A lot of scandals break through here as well, about government officials and so on. How Report is another pornography news site in China where you can actually rate stuff, you can post stuff, and it's a good way to, I guess, find out what's going on throughout China. China clamps down on evil cults. This evil cults news story has more to do with religion than anything else, because, as you know, there's been a lot of protests based on religious freedom, and also what I had posted on before in Hong Kong, a lot of freedom-related social freedom type movements that China has labeled as evil cults. Ministry of Tofu, this is another site you can go to. You can find a lot of news stories, some of it very, very sick, unfortunate, a lot of stories about people getting taken advantage of here, and you can find out the straight smack on that. China Change is also an editorial with hits in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, and you can find out a lot of information there. Lost Laowai, which is foreigner in Chinese, and the editor is right there, and you can find some pretty good articles on here. Not bad, certainly better than a lot of the stuff that you're going to get back in your country as far as news on China, especially if you're into kind of gossip and you want to take a break from the normal CNN mainstream news garbage that you get. China Divide, another site you can go to. It kind of takes headlines from the popular newspapers, and it kind of spins them around so that you can get some straight news on China and find out what's going on. Anti-Japanese protests, this is big. It'll show you actual photos, and people in mainland China post on these sites in English, and you're able to see what they're thinking and have some conversation with them. It's a good place to hook up with people if you want to find out what's really going on in China. Here's a cache site from China Hush. Refrigerator van development rising in China. This is for shipping and transporting and stuff. Many other stories here. Anhui man who refused to drive a little boy to the hospital when injured because obviously he's going to be liable. Here's a huge child pornography sex ring broken up. 90,000 members. They're trying to be a little more socially responsible there, at least. And so if you want to hook up with people in China and you want to argue your point or whatever, they have Facebook pages. Here's China Hush's Facebook page, if that's what you're into. And you can find some news stories about that. Here's a guy with basically handicapped and driven 100,000 miles on no license until he finally got caught. And that kind of tells you about the traffic problem and the issues in China with trying to clamp down on illegal activity, which they have really no hopes of doing. They can only kind of subdue it for the meantime. And so this is kind of news pornography in China. If you want to get some more information on this, just visit these sites and see if there's anything of interest to you, like the National Enquirer. A lot of the outrageous stories that you'll see here are actually true.